The Sherry Lord Talk Show podcast. Start your day off with a higher vibrational podcast with weekly guests covering spirituality, healthy foods, and so much more. Go to sherrylord.com for more info. Hey, welcome everybody. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. I hope you have your coffee or tea or whatever you drink in the morning and come and join us. I'm your influencer host, Sherry Lord. And we want to make sure, we want to have a note here to make sure that we also are doing paid placed ads. So if you want to put an ad with us, go to www.sherrylord.com. We do products or services or events going on. Just make sure we have a form on our website. Just go and fill it out and you can pay right there on our website. Or if you want to be a guest, all the information is on the website. And make sure to chat with us for a giveaway, because Jesse An Nichols George is going to be giving her book out. She's got a beautiful author. We're going to bring her book. You have it in your hand, Jesse.
I do. It's right here.
We're going to be given, she's going to sign this book personally, and you definitely want to read it. It's about codes, and this is so good. And so much more is inside that you are really going to shift your consciousness when you see this. And we just want to say thank you, Jesse An Nichols George, for joining us. We're going to say An. She wants to be called An. So we're going to do that. And we love you. And make sure you have comments lit up, because we have somebody already given us a comment. Jean is joining us. Good morning, Jean. And I want to say welcome, Jesse, because I want to say just something a little bit about you, because you have a fascinating bio. But you are a beautiful author, and I'm telling you one thing: you guys make sure you get her book, because you are just going to love it. She is a Magi walking from the multiverse. She's going to explain a little bit about that. This is going to be interesting and fascinating. She stepped into this existence to relieve another soul known as Jesse. She continues to use the human name for the body of Jesse An Nichols George, but goes by the name An. Jesse and An are part of the same Magi team, which works to assist people in living compassionately, wisely, and harmoniously. Their work helps people to be conscious of their wholeness and how they are existing in the world through the experience that they are having. And there's so much more. There's something that I want to just say a little bit else about her that I found very fascinating personally. Is she is a coding I can't even talk today. She can, I don't know why I'm going blank with this. She can interpret codings, presenters, and scribes. Her work encompasses over 50 different fields of study and belief systems. She shares the truth of things in the world and beyond, and how different energy patterns interact. Her work provides understanding of our true nature and how to maneuver in this world, as well as the effects that has on our existence and dimensions. Everything we experience in this world is a result of multiple things interacting with one another. And that is so true. Thank you. And her topic today is standing in divine alignment on earth. Welcome, An. We're so happy to have you. Yay.
Yay. Thank you, Sherry, for having me on. It's great to be on your show. And I'm just really happy to be here and have this opportunity to share about this work and to share what I'm doing and to just open this topic up for people. It's really exciting.
Oh, it is. And you're going to explain about how can people stand in divine alignment on earth? What are you referring to with your topic? Is there tools you can give people or give an understanding? Because we get all busy, and sometimes it's kind of hard to make sure you're aligned or stay aligned, you know?
Well, and this is true, you know, the standing in alignment. I think so many times when people get on the spiritual path, they come into this illusion. It's like anything, right? We have the illusions about celebrities and, you know, people of big status and wealth and all of these things. And a lot of times, you know, when you get into things, you have to allow some of those illusions to be broken.
Yeah.
Because we think, okay, if I'm on a spiritual path, everything's going to be rosy. All of a sudden, I'm not going to have challenges. There's not going to be any problems in life. You know, it's all just going to be a smooth ride. Because if I'm standing in Christ consciousness or divine alignment or whatever it is, then life is just easy. And that's not the case. When we understand energy patterns, we all have these different energy patterns that we're working with. We all have these things that are going to come up and challenge us throughout life. And for some of us, we have very challenging patterns in our entire lifetime. Some of us just experience them, you know, an occasional year here or there. It all depends on where we are and how those cycles are flowing and what those energy patterns are. But the key comes down to, are we going to let those energy patterns that are challenging, that surface in our world, in our personal lives, come up and pull us out of divine alignment? Are they going to pull us away from the God energy? Are they going to pull us away from being in our soul self? And this is where we get down to doing the real work.
Yeah.
And I have some people that say, oh, I just never knew it was going to be this challenging or this hard. And I think that that's where people, they find their strength. And this is why we've been so programmed that to resist all of these challenges, right? To resist all of these hardships in life, instead of realizing the gifts that they hold. And again, allowing some of those illusions to be burst and say, no, actually, the real gifts are in some of these challenges. The really beautiful pieces of lives is coming through these things, and being able to face them, because that's where we build up and really connect with our soul self. And while that can tear us apart from divine source, if we allow it, on the other hand, it can bring us much, much closer to it. And that's part of the beauty of this work that I do with this daily guidebook, is because when we're looking at divine alignment, and if you give me just a moment here, I'm going to tune in on this because I have one piece of it. I want to pull the other piece of it. Divine alignment is really coming into finding personal strength through being able to honor what is best for yourself, and realizing that in order to really unfold the work and be of service to others, you have to make yourself a priority in that process. And it is coming into going into the most inner depths of your infinite self. Okay. And aligning with that and creating a partnership, because the human self works in this 3D world. Our soul self is working in the more ethereal realms that extend beyond here, but they are connected here, and they have a partnership here, and they're each their own beautiful piece. And when that partnership comes together, that's where we experience the infinite self and the divine alignment. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I need to take a breath and let you say something.
I'm listening, because I think it's important that people understand that it's not separate. You know, it's all intertwined. And I think what you're sharing, you can just keep on speaking and I'll add, you know, but I think this is great. I think this is a really good information for people, because they do feel it's one or the other instead of it's intertwined with both. You know, it's just, you know, your soul's path moving through life, but you know, it is coming out of the illusion of things and see it for the reality and the truth that it is.
Well, definitely. And this is where this work comes into place with the book that I put out, The Code Journey, because in this work, it helps to really establish that relationship. It establishes the relationship between the soul and the soul self and the human self, and strengthens it, as well as strengthening our relationship to divine source, God, opening up divine presence in the world and our lives. And I like to remind people that when you strengthen this relationship, it helps you to remember you're never alone in this world. You're never totally, you know, rejected, outcast, whatever else. You're never totally alone in this process, because you've always got that connection. You've always got your soul self standing right at your side. And so, you know, we are going to get those challenges. And especially as we increase or strengthen that vibration in the world, you know, on one hand, we have the philosophy that when you increase and raise your vibration to a certain point or a certain vibration or current, that you're completely free of challenges. And there's a certain amount of truth to that. But even when you're there, that doesn't stop that polarity energy, that energy that's working against the soul's energy, to come through and create challenges. Now, the difference is when you're in those challenges and you experience them, is that you actually, you know, you're in divine alignment because you always get the lifeline, so to say, to get through it. You always get the proverbial rope to grab onto. You always get the assistance you need to get through it. And that's the difference. If you're not in divine alignment, you're not going to get that assistance. You're going to get more blocks, more obstacles, more things coming up. And when you're in the divine alignment, you don't sit there and wallow in the misery, in the victim spaces, and all of that. You connect in with your soul self, you connect in with divine presence. And then in doing that, you open up possibilities, you open up understandings, you open up solutions. And so this life is not ever going to be 100% void of challenges. I think we want to get that out of our mind a little bit, but that doesn't mean that the challenges have to defeat you. And I've faced a lot of them in my life, been through a lot of tough things in my life. And it is, you know, so I'm coming in this with a lot of experience. And those challenges are part of what opened up this work and doing this book, which 2024 is the 7th year that I put this book out. So it's been out for quite a while. And I'm finding it's an amazing way because it doesn't tell people specifically that you have to do it this way, or you have to take steps A, B, C, and D. It's a much more open format with this book. So it's more of here's the currents for the day. Here's the energy for the day. Here's where it's at. Now you have the opportunity to use that as foresight to open up and know, okay, here's how I'm going to be able to hold my divine alignment today. Here's how I can maneuver through what these currents are. And here's the pieces that I need to pay attention to and to be open to, because I might run into people who are maybe not in a good space, who are maybe angry, who might try to provoke me. And if I go into my day knowing that, it's not a self-sabotaging aspect. It's about realizing, okay, I need to double up my compassion today. I need to really exercise. This is going to be my day to practice patience. It's going to be my day to, you know, stay alert to what the opportunities are. And I have to not be distracted by these pieces over here, and to keep coming back to the truth and going, okay, this is my perception, this is my reaction, but here's the truth of what it is. And so it's no different than somebody giving you a set of ingredients and going, here's the ingredients you have to work with today. What do you want to cook with that? What do you want to make with that? And you can make whatever you want with it. But that's what you have to work with.
It's good understanding. It's good information. I think what you're doing is great. I want to bring your book up just briefly so people can see what, I mean, you hand it, but we also have it here. And we're going to talk more about it towards the end, how people can purchase the book. But I want to bring it up. And this is the book that she's talking about, The Code Journey Insights in 2024. Now, I have a question. Was it a download that you got? Was it information? How did the book unfold for you?
So this book originally started with a journey.
Great.
The soul that was in this body before me started a journey where she rescued a cat from going over a waterfall. That cat was her soul connection, both of those souls being part of my Magi team. And they journeyed for 11 months around the US. And it was when the cat passed. The cat was much older, and she did pass on the road in the journeys. And it was through that grieving process
Okay.
that this work originated. She had studied many things, had this huge background, you know, as you mentioned, and had looked at a lot of different belief systems and practices and things like that. And one of the tools that she found the most useful was reference books, you know, when you go in. So again, not telling you exactly what to do, but giving you all the information you need to make wise choices, to do things like that. And that's where she chose to structure that. So in some ways, this kind of started as an ode, but in other ways, it was also an aspect of recognizing that you know, how do we get through these daily pieces? And so the grief started unfolding all of the connections between all of these different things she had studied. And it started piecing it together in ways that were maybe non-traditional ways. And she started working with that information and started reflecting on everything. And as she did that, she's like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, this is, this is the piece that brings it all together. And so as she did that, I mean, she had her journeys along the way, some very challenging situations, from homelessness and facing minus 30, minus 40 degree temps in her vehicle, and relocating and all these different pieces. And she ended up saying, well, you know, if my code energy is as favorable in the Northeast as it is in Indiana, I think I'll go be in the Northeast because I like the trees better and I like this and that. And she came here, and this definitely felt like home. And that was the key. And then there's a variety of circumstances, and the full story is in the beginning of the book, that led to her settling down in the town that I'm at now, which is Bethel, Maine. And and she unfolded. She was already in the process of putting this work out from Indiana. She had put out the first version right before she moved here, and then right after she moved here, she got in a car accident that should have killed her, but it didn't. Had it been 2 hours later, she would have been on death codes, and it probably would have taken this life out. But even then, I hadn't come in that. I have been overseeing this life the entire time. So it's almost very similar to my life. Walk-ins don't just come because you want a walk-in and you're not happy in life and you don't like what's going on, or life feels tough or challenging. In her particular case, it was a safety issue. To preserve our team as a Magi, to preserve her energy of compassion and love in the universe, in the multiverse, we had to move her out of this body. And because she had started this work, we can't just thrust anybody into this work. So I entered in during that time, and it was really, I came in fall of 2018. And so that's when I had an opportunity to share body for a couple of months with her. So that's a privilege that doesn't happen a lot. It's very rare to get that opportunity, because a lot of walk-ins do come under more traumatic circumstances for people, where the body is not ready to leave, but the soul is taking off for whatever reason. And so we're going to see more. We're going to see more exchanges, you know, as we have longer lives, as we're dealing in times that are more turbulent in our world. There's going to be more coming through. But I stepped in and I took over the work, and I'm specifically here to oversee this work and to bring it forward and to make it accessible for humanity to have truth, to uphold wisdom, and to uphold compassion in the world. So that's my key focus.
That is an amazing. So is this, when you were speaking, is this like a soul contract, something you've agreed to and it just happens prior to or beforehand?
Well, she was very insistent upon coming in to this world as a sort of guardian.
Okay.
to what was her biological parents, those souls. And, you know, we didn't want her to come in really because we knew how dangerous this world was getting. We knew the direction things were taking. We knew it was unsafe. So our whole team has been on high alert the
Okay.
entire time that she was here. And so I always knew there was that possibility that I was going to have to step in along the way.
Oh.
And that became, again, much more evident once Orly went in. And of course, that put us on super high alert, like you might as well just get ready now in that situation. And so, you know, certainly we can say on one hand, we're glad that she did what she did. We're glad that Orly came in because Orly's whole purpose was to remind her really of her true roots as a Magi and to bring this language back to her, which is our language from our Magi team, and to really help her remember that and to have that connection. That love was incredibly powerful and, you know, important not just to our existence, but many existences around. So, you know, that has to be preserved. And they're doing very well, by the way. They're doing very well back in the multiverse region and just doing some great work and helping a lot of people from that side of things.
This is interesting. I'm fascinated. So I want to know what was your experience? So she's agreed to leave and you come in. What was your experience coming in and merging in as she was leaving? What did you feel when you came to the physical? You're in the spiritual, but came into her body. What was it like for you?
Well, it was very interesting because we were up against a lot of time pressures and things like that because she was under attack from what was the soul that was in her biological sister who was ready to pass. So we literally got her out. I think it was within 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours, maybe, of when her sister passed. And so we were under a kind of pressuring situation. I got to see that exit. I had somebody that orchestrated that for us. Okay. And then when she left, there was almost this kind of emptiness there. You know, it's kind of like anything when you have a pet or anybody pass, it's a very similar emptiness, like all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm on my own in this world. You know, it was different when I had somebody there to talk with, like a friend, but it's, you know, then that kind of really sets in like, what am I doing and what have I agreed to here? I actually had to take a couple of days, about a month and a half later, and just take some time for me in the process. And I did that. I did that at that time, and I did my best to hang on to what she had. And she was working a regular job as well as doing some of this work at that time. And I actually took off, and I took some time to do some healing over in Vermont, and ended up connecting with a beautiful place over there, the Pyramid Holistic Wellness Center. And that has been an amazing connection for me from day one almost. Over there. Absolutely love the owner and the staff and everybody over there. They're just such a beautiful location. And so I did that. And as time went on, my body just said, yeah, we're not going to hold up to working. And then COVID set in, and that whole thing impacted the world. And so I said, well, we're just going to have to keep making things fly. And again, I had to fight for some things along the way to make things work for me. I've had to battle for inheritances that were rightfully mine that they tried to cut me out of, all kinds of things like that. So it's been an ongoing thing. But now I'm, you know, here for going on what this year will be 6 years.
Wow.
This fall. So I'm starting to find my flow. Maybe more by more, I'm starting to find my flow in the world. But I love it. I mean, it's kept me very, very busy. And, you know, it's been a beautiful journey and a beautiful process in the midst of all of the challenges that have been there as well. But my body gave out to the point that I couldn't work a regular job. So I had to make things fly with this work, and really had to open it up.
You're doing a fantastic job. Willpower and determination and faith and trust, and in tuned as well to help guide you through it all. What do you offer? I mean, you offer, I know, do you do readings, or do you offer a program? What do you offer?
Well, we've got the book, which right now, this year's book retails at $36. And if you think you're getting a thin little book that has nothing in it, think again, because this book is approximately 700 pages. It's just shy of that.
Wow.
So it's got where it's broken down by the year, and then it's broken down by the months, individual months. Each year I'm adding to it because I'm adding an update to the journey in it, and the story. And then it breaks it down, and it has things like your lunar influences, your angel influences, your portals, like your solstices, equinoxes, meteorite showers, and then each day of the week. And then in addition to the book, for those people that want to continue to go deeper, they want to understand things, I can do coaching sessions for people if they really have a particular topic or issue that they're trying to address in their life. I can do that for them. And then I've also got life reports that I do. And in those life reports, I actually work with the name energy, and I look at the outer world energy, which is our socialization, our work field, our general social interactions. And then the middle name, which deals with our inner world. So that's usually going to be like your marriages, your intimate relationships, maybe your super close friendships in there. And then you have the bloodline energy that I look at. And in the bloodline energy, that's really looking at what we're dealing with that's inherited in our biological DNA, and the energy patterns that run through that name. And then I bring it all together and look at how all of these pieces are interacting to create a core life pattern that we're on. And so if somebody's been married, I look at both the current legal name and the biological birth name that's in there. So both of those components are looked at in the life report. So this gives somebody a really good foundation of what their life is about, what their challenges are, what their skills are, how to use these things as an asset. It can even help them figure out things like possibly what might be a good profession based, you know, if somebody has a lot of healing energy in their outer world energy, that could be a great thing, whether they go into the medical profession like traditional healing, or whether they go into TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, or acupuncture or massage, or, you know, you have all kinds of variety within healing energy that you could do, for example, in there. It tells you where you run into challenges, or your ability to be in a relationship or not be in a relationship, and what positions you tend to run into. So again, if you know this information, then you know how to start to offset that. You realize, okay, if, like me personally, some of my energy has victim energy in the relationships, in the current, in the intimate area. So a lot of times that means relationships end up being a power battle, or they start off where one person is rescuing the other person. So there's always these dynamics. And again, understanding some more depth on these things really helps us to embrace who we are and to stop resisting and fighting the things that we think are not favorable, and learning how to work with those. I see Jackie's in the chat, and she's a great example of that, in that she has this energy that has to do with lies and deception. And she's always felt like, oh my gosh, this was my huge pain in my life, everybody always lying and manipulating and all of this stuff. And now that she's learned to harness that energy and realize that she's a source of truth, and that wherever she is, she's going to bring the truth out in things. And what a gift that is to be able to see the truth. She's no longer standing in the victim of that energy. She's standing in the power of her energy. So that's what that does. And then I do personal year reports. So I actually do reports that break it down and give somebody an overview for what their personal year, and it runs from their birthday of one year to their birthday of the next year. And I do the overview for that year and then break it down month by month. I obviously can't do it as extensively as I do the book, but I break it down month by month, and it gives them a good overview of where their personal currents are running at any given time. So that's another great report that I put out there. And then I can also do reports like looking at a child's name, or I help people sometimes name their pets so that they get a good influence. I help them understand the currents of where they're living. I help people find locations that are good for them to live through this work. So there's a variety of things. I even help people sometimes like code up their websites and find the right hex codes for their website, the right fonts that are in alignment for them. And this is the thing, what's not favorable for one person can be incredibly favorable for another person. So when we look at these currents, one person, if they have death energy, it could totally be destroying their health and just immobilizing them. You have somebody else like myself. I happen to handle death energy very well in that energy current, and I actually can bring out a lot of wisdom. I can be a real strong guide for people going through major transformation or major transitions or having to deal with death in life. And so, again, embracing these different components. So there's all kinds of things. It's literally limitless what I can look at this work, which is wonderful. I've also done reports for people that have looked at their relationships or their partnerships so that they can better understand how they connect with their partner, or like I said, an address. So you start to understand maybe the address that I'm living at is creating challenges in my life that I don't need to be dealing with. And a simple move can change who I am to a certain extent and what's coming out and the energy I'm dealing with. And it doesn't mean just because you get in a perfectly aligned space or location, doesn't mean that you're going to be 100% free of challenges. But the difference is that you have that divine support. You have the strength and the energy that you need to deal with any of the challenges that come up. Whereas when you're in places that maybe you sit in victim energy in a particular state or city or county or whatever, then it's very hard to get things going in your life because you're constantly seeing yourself as a victim. You're constantly seeing yourself as being rejected or pushed away or nothing succeeding, or constantly in these battles and people attacking you and things like that. And you go into depression. So it's very hard to move out of that. And a lot of times we can't even see how much we're in a victim energy pattern until we get out of it. And I think that's a big thing. And again, I can use Jackie because she always allows me to use her as an example. She's one of those that she was in some of that victim energy where she was living in Pennsylvania. And then she made a move to Georgia. And now she's standing in energy that is much more powerful for her. She definitely still has some challenges, but it's there. And I tell people too, I give them that heads up when I do that work, because if you've got a big family, like 4 or 5 or 6 people, chances of being able to make it work for everybody is slim to none. Somebody's going to have to take the hit. So I usually look at who is the strongest person in the family, who can deal with what things, and what we know. And I usually try to focus on getting the strongest influences to the head of the household, whether, the husband and the wife in the household, because the mother and the father, because they're the ones that are going to provide for the rest of the family. So if they're not in a strong space, they're not going to be able to take care of their family well. But again, knowing, some people, they're very spiritually aware. They're very active in their processes. They know how to offset certain energy. So they might be able to take something, and then we can put the better influences in on the kids. My goal is always to stay away from things that create health issues, financial issues, and death patterns. Those are the biggest of the patterns that I always, and victim patterns, because victim patterns, even very strong people can have a really hard time in those victim patterns. So,
well, this is wonderful. We appreciate all the wonderful information. Make sure, how do they get your book? Is it directly, and how can they get a hold of you? Is the book like on your website, or is it through Amazon? How can people get a hold of your book, and how can they get a hold of you?
And the book is on Amazon for the paperback, and it's on Smashwords for the ebook version. You can go directly actually onto my website, Compassion Codes, that's got an S on the end of it, .com, and go to the tab that says Goods, and you'll see the code journey. Click on that, and I've got the direct links to the purchase pages right there on that page. So that makes it very easy for people, as opposed to having to search around. Sometimes Amazon likes to hide me a little bit, as they like to do. So that makes it just easy for people to find. And then if people want to also check out the work before purchasing it, over on Smashwords, my previous editions, so like 2023, all the previous years for the code journey are free. So they can go in and download it and see if they like the content and the style before they make that purchase, which is really great. And they can contact me either through the website, compassioncodes.com, or they can contact me through my email, which is my initials, JANG, at compassioncodes.com. And so whatever works for them, they can reach out either way. I also do study sessions twice a month, right at the new moon and the full moon. And those are free for people to attend. I post some of the content from the book on my social media sites as well. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all the core ones there. They can find me on and get a little taste for the content. They don't have to have the book to come into the study sessions. I have some people that just follow me online because of the way their life is. Those study sessions are free, but I'm always open. If somebody wants to donate, I also have ways that people can just donate to my work as well.
That's awesome. I did do the drawings as you were talking, because we have Jean, Jackie, and we have Rhonda, and the winner is Rhonda. Rhonda, hello from Venice, and you have won her personalized signed book. And Rhonda, make sure you email me at sherrylordpodcast@gmail, your address, so that I can forward it to Ann, so she can send you a very beautiful, deep, personalized message to you and signed book. Congratulations. I want to thank Jackie, Jean, and Rhonda, and all the other wonderful people who did not chant, who are just watching us. We just want to say thank you, and we will see you next week. Also, go to www.sherrylord.com/podcast. You can get her information as well and click on it to get to her website, or you can see who the upcoming next guest is. Thank you so much, Ann, for being on our show. We'll definitely have you back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sherry.